You are looking at a man who has just been given everything he wanted. But that is not why he is crying. It is 8 minutes past 8 in the morning. 94 days ago, this man had a plan and a savings account. He has neither of those things now. I want to tell you what happened in the 12 hours before this, because the order matters, and because you are about to make a mistake. That being said, you are going to decide quite early that you know how this ends, and you might be right. And being right is going to teach you something uncomfortable about yourself. Chapter 3 of a story about one family in one apartment in a country you will never visit. There are millions of households like this one across Europe. 2 salaries, no savings, and a distance of about 6 weeks between an ordinary life and a serious problem. 94 days earlier, same apartment, the kind of silence that only exists where someone is waiting for the phone to ring. He is Alexis. He's 46. At 7 every morning, he is dressed. Maria has asked him to stop, but he can't. He is a mathematician, 22 years of work, a degree his parents queued overnight to help him apply for. In this family, education was not a career decision. It was insurance. It was where you go so that this could never happen to you. Unfortunately, didn't work. Alexis didn't know at that time, but he was having only 91 days until that meeting room, where he lost his position. At this point, he did not panic. Panicking is not what he does. He made a list. Companies. Date sent. Date replied. In total, 67 applications. 7 replies. 6 of those were automated. Here is what that does to a person, and it is not what you would expect. It is not sadness. Sadness would be easier. It is something researchers call learned helplessness. Every morning, his wife Maria leaves for work at the school. She pauses at the door, but never asks him. Working for school was never enough, but she had to keep on going. In a household where one salary now carries 2 people, arithmetic stops being a subject and becomes a moral activity. What you buy, what you put back, what you pretend you did not want. A man who taught differential equations, counting coins on a counter. He told me,
"This was my first humiliation."
But it was not the last. If you are poor and uneducated, the world tells you there was a door you did not walk through. Alexis walked through every door. He did everything correctly, in order, as he was thought. And he is still here. So what or who is he supposed to blame? There is only one answer available: himself. And that is where the shame starts. You see, guilt says, I did a bad thing. Shame says, I am a bad thing. Guilt can be repaired. Shame just waits. According to Eurostat's 2024 figures, Bulgaria, Greece, and Romania recorded the highest rates of poverty or social exclusion anywhere in the European Union. Around 1 person in 4. Unfortunately, Alexis is one of the 4. He has a master's degree and a path he can't understand. Until an interview. Thursday, 9:40. He did not tell Maria until the evening. He wanted to be sure it was real first. Thursday morning, he ironed the shirt twice, just to be sure. Pay attention to this detail because I want you to hold on to it. Everything that happens from here is about a man trying very hard not to look like what he has become. He was prepared to leave 90 minutes early for a journey of 35. He could not risk being late, and he could not afford to be seen waiting outside. So he did what people in his position do. He got on the metro several stations early and kept riding, just to make sure he would never be seen. The company occupied 4 floors of a glass building on the other side of the river. He had never worked in a building like this. 9:40 came, then 10, then 10:15. And he was still waiting, and unfortunately, the manager who was supposed to interview him did not arrive. Somewhere around minute 40, he stopped believing anyone was coming. At 10:31, he decided he had been forgotten, and he stood up to leave. The man in the doorway was not the manager. It was the man whose name was on the company. Alexis recognized him from a photograph downstairs, next to a plant. Here is the feeling about power that nobody warns you about. It does not need to threaten you. It only has to be in the room. The interview was scheduled for 20 minutes. It ran for an hour and 10 minutes. They did not really discuss the job. They discussed problems, structures, where money quietly leaks out of a company. Watch his face here. At the end of it, the owner told him he was not going to get the position he had applied for, and the floor went. He was being offered the one above it. Alexis can become the analysis lead manager, a department, a salary that would have ended every conversation in that apartment. But then the conditions appears. 3 months of trial work, full hours, full responsibility, and no salary. He was not told how many other people were doing the same trial. He never found out. That uncertainty did more work than any threat could have. But this is not rare, and it is not illegal in most parts of Europe. The European Commission has estimated that of roughly 3 million trainees across the Union, close to half receive no payment at all. What do you think he chose? To me, at least, he seems at peace with his decision now. She told me later she already knew. She could see it on his face. When he used business words at home, something was wrong. Maria searched for peace, but his eyes told her everything. She knew where this road was leading, and it broke her heart. Month 1 was almost happy. He woke before the alarm. He had somewhere to be and a reason to iron a shirt. And for 4 weeks, that was enough to fix a man. He was great. Everyone agreed he was impeccable. That was never the problem. But the first problem was that going to work costs money. Let's make a list with all of them. Transport. Lunch. A second shirt. Coffee. Because refusing the coffee every single day tells people something about you. Of course, he calculated it. Working for free was costing him about 367 euros each month. And due to this, he has become a mathematician, watching his own equation fail in real time. And here is the part almost nobody understands about being poor. It is not that poor people make worse decisions. It is that poverty takes up room. Research on scarcity has found that financial pressure measurably consumes the same mental capacity you need to think clearly. Alexis, who could hold 6 variables in his head, started reading the same paragraph 3 times. He thought he was getting old, but he was getting deeper into poverty. They feel identical from the inside. Second month. Something left the apartment. He asked me not to say what it was, and I'm going to respect that, because the object is not the point, and he has already paid for it twice. Maria noticed on the second day, but she had no power to confront him. Plus, nothing good can come out of it. She chose to remain on the same path, by taking private lessons instead, until the evenings. A teacher's salary was now carrying 2 adults, 1 apartment, and 1 man's self-image. Month 3. He had started getting off the metro 2 stops early and walking the rest. It saved almost nothing, around 90 cents. But now it meant he is arriving from the direction where people usually park their cars. Hear that sentence again. That is a man spending 90 cents on being invisible. Around him, people doing the same work were being paid for it. But the worst part is that he knows this is a fact. 11 days left. He had stopped counting in hundreds and changed to coins. That is the moment the guilt became shame. Not when he ran out of money, when he started hiding it from Maria.
Right.
4 days left before the end, he was called upstairs. The assumption was the contract. He had allowed himself, finally, to assume something. The owner praised Alexis. For 40 seconds, he felt proud. Then came the catch, an administrative contribution. Alexis had, at that moment, less money than at any point in his adult life. Now, I want you to predict what he did, and I want you to notice how confident you are. Because the trap was never the money. The trap was the 90 days behind him. Every single one of those days was an argument for paying. But we might soon find the opposite. This is not stupidity. The more you have already lost, the harder it is to stop losing. Of course he paid. I want to be precise here, because this part matters. Charging a worker anything at all to secure a job is prohibited under the International Labor Organization's principles on fair recruitment, directly or indirectly, in whole or in part. There is no version of this that is permitted. He went home with his last €5. A single ticket would have taken most of it. He stood at the entrance doing the arithmetic, which by now was the only thing he did. But there was a man sitting against the wall. Beside him, a dog, asleep on a folded coat. The dog looked better cared for than the man did. Hundreds of people had walked past him that evening. Also, Alexis had walked past him himself, that morning on the way to the office, without seeing him. The man asked him for money. Alexis had heard that sentence perhaps 1,000 times in his life. Unfortunately, he had no evidence left that he was a decent man. So he manufactured one, and he gave the man all €5. It was the last piece of proof available to him that he still existed as a person. Then he started walking home. 11 kilometers, 2 hours and 40 minutes by his own estimate, and his estimates are usually correct. He thought,
I am 49 years old. I have a master's degree, and I have just given away the last money I own.
He got home at 11:20 at night. Maria had fallen asleep waiting, with her student's work still in front of her. She woke up when he entered. Alexis told her just 2 words.
The metro was delayed.
It's easy to see it in his face. Guilt is about an act. Shame is about yourself. 6:30 the next morning. The office is calling. Come in now. There's a meeting with the owner. He walked. He had no money for the metro. They put him in a meeting room and left him there for 67 minutes. In 67 minutes, he constructed the whole conversation. The walk out, the phone call to Maria. The owner sat down alone and asked Alexis one strange question.
Where were you at 6:30 last night?
And Alexis, after 94 days of silence, finally told him everything. What the owner said next left Alexis speechless. The man at the metro entrance was his brother. Now stop. Notice what just happened inside you? When you heard that, something in you relaxed. It fit. It felt correct. That feeling is not truth. It is relief. It is the need to believe that decency gets repaid. And you have been carrying that need for almost 15 minutes because the alternative is unbearable. Which brings us back to 8 minutes past 8 in the morning, 94 days ago. The position was confirmed that morning, at a grade above the one he had been promised. His parents queued overnight so he could apply to that university. They believed a degree was a wall between a family and the street. One more fact before I let you go. According to the most recent European housing exclusion figures, more than 1.2 million people were homeless across Europe in a single year.